Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new edition of Weekend World. My name is Sophie. Of course, you're watching PTV World. Now, I am super excited about the show today, and I'll tell you why really am I so excited, because today's theme is going to be about music. Now, if you talk about music, it's always been associated with art, with love, with positivity, with proactiveness. As the saying goes, music is the universal language of mankind. On tonight's edition of Weekend World, we've got two esteemed guests. First up, we have the very vibrant, the very talented Farhad Humayun. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, he, of course, is a renowned singer. He's a drummer. He's a producer, a guitarist, and is regarded as a top name in modern drum and percussion playing in Pakistan. He formed the band Overload, of course, way back in 2003, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
That's right, with musician, songwriter, and composer Shiraz Siddique. And the band is widely regarded by many as being the loudest band in Pakistan. Welcome to the show, Farhad. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. The honor and pleasure is mine.
Pleasure. Next up, we've got somebody that I've heard a lot about, Aziz Ibrahim. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very well.
Now, correct me if I'm mistaken, you are a British Pakistani musician. You are best known for your work as a guitarist with Simply Red, the Stone Roses, and the former vocalist, of course, Ian Brown, in whose band you regularly perform as well. Now, he is also a member of the H Band, if I'm not mistaken, and has also worked with Paul Weller, Steven Wilson, Asia, and contributed to the player's debut album, Clear the Decks. Not just that, you were also the guitarist for the last Stone Roses performance before they split, and that was at the 1996 Reading Festival. Is that right?
Correct answer.
All right. And do I get to win something as well? Is this a giveaway section as we speak? Welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here. Welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you very much. Both Meribani.
Pleasure. Pleasure. Now, the first question, gentlemen, that I have for you is that Farhad has actually been in the news recently for his music, his videos, and a huge brand endorsement, of course, which everyone is talking about. So tell me that we've heard that you guys have actually collaborated together at events and gigs as well. So what has been happening so far recently, if you talk about his recent visit to Pakistan?
Well, I've been a fan of Aziz Ibrahim for years. Even before he came to Pakistan, Pakistan was very proud of him because he's represented us in the world arena. And we'd heard the name, we'd never seen the face. But then I hunted him down and...
Reminds me of a film. I'll hunt you down.
Yes.
I'll search for you.
But he was here in Pakistan through the British Council and he was performing.
Okay.
And I had the chance of watching him live and I met him briefly. I don't think he remembers that. But then another time recently, I think 2012, we met again.
Okay.
And we've talked about collaborating. And it's finally happening.
Finally, it's happening. So tell us about your recent trip to Pakistan. This trip, how is it going for you? And you've performed with Farhad as well.
Yeah, it's going great.
Yeah?
The only thing is, I'm not sure whether I should be going, it's going great, or I should be saying, it's going great.
So tell us about your experience here in Lahore. What have you been up to? Tell us about the places you've been to, the food you've eaten, the music you've performed.
The food I've eaten.
Yes.
You're going to charge me?
Of course, why not?
Nothing's free. I started off with the tourist thing, you know. I went to Mkukus and had a look at Badshahi Masjid, and you know, it's a beautiful view. It's got to be done.
It's gorgeous.
But then once you get over tourist food, Desi Khana, there's something else, and my relatives are everywhere. So I went to Santanagar, and you know, my relatives quite a bit. That was nice, but. Farhad and his family have been looking after me.
I'm
so
sure he's very hospitable.
Well. Yeah, and his head chef, he's over there somewhere in the background. He's been cooking for me every day, so dal roti, dal roti.
How wonderful.
You have no idea how big an appetite this guy has.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Staple
see.
Standard 5 parathas at one time.
Wow, mashallah, that's amazing.
Well, you know.
Where do the 5 parathas go? I mean, really? Do you like working out?
Well,
do you like gymming?
Do I like to know? He's the gym man. I'm the, I got the kind of female way of hiding the fat.
Okay.
I know how to do it.
Okay, so maybe
right
in
colours.
the way that you dress, do you think there's something which is hidden beside that glittery shirt?
You got to wear the right colours.
Yeah.
So black is good, you know, hides all the bulges and everything. And that's about it. But I've been eating well, you know, out in places like Zouk and Kozanova, yeah, Kozan.
I think he's in the right. In fact, he's in the perfect city because he seems to be a foodie himself, and he's talking about food,
You're
and this
right.
is great, wonderful
I love
stuff.
Lahori food. It's
Wonderful.
There's one thing I always say when I go home is the food is so nice, so tasty. Everything's about tasty, you know, swad.
And the love for food. As we speak of the love for food, let's talk about a love for music as well. So what are both of you listening to nowadays? Let's, let's take a listen to your current playlist. What's going on, Farhad?
I don't know. I'm actually listening to quite a bit of pop music lately. Not top 40 pop, but earlier stuff like Seal, Sting.
Oh, wonderful.
Paul Weller as well. And more of the simpler stuff. Yeah. Not overproduced things that are seen
so
nowadays.
Nice and classy, nice and simple.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Aziz?
I listen to music without guitars. Anything that hasn't got guitars in it.
Why is that?
Because I'm trying to explore, you know, the whole thing about my playing, I hope you see, is that I'm trying to establish identity. The whole thing about international playing is you've got to have an identity in the world. And I won't get it by listening to other guitarists. So I listen to Sarod, Sarangi, Santur, Bansuri, anything that gives me, or vocalists from, you know, like Nunja or something, or Farhad. I mean, just recently learning these songs, I've been copying his vocals on the guitar, and it just becomes my way of playing. So really, it's influences from other instruments and the way that they played or sung, and that influences the way I play them.
So what is your take on all the platforms here in Pakistan? For instance, you've got Coke Studio, you've got Pepsi Smash, you've got Nescafe Basement. So have you heard music as far as certain platforms like the names that I mentioned are concerned?
Those are Bara. I did this kind of community workshop thing like Canal Jams, and I did workshops before. So I met a lot of musicians, and that's how I met Farhad as well. And it was just great to see the different things. But I think probably the one that kind of surprised me the most was that Dole, when I hear Simon play, who plays, you know, for Overload, it's completely different to say when I hear Sardarji playing, you know, Dole, and it's in Bhangra or whatever. It's a Pakistan, it's a beautiful thing. It's different, very different. So I think everything is like that. It's got its own style.
Wonderful. That sounds great. So Farhad, coming to you, you know, you've kept the element of social activism alive in your music. And if I talk about songs such as, say, Ankahi, you've got Jeet and Bolo Na. So do you think that artists who have a platform here in Pakistan are actually doing what they should be doing as responsible citizens of a country?
I don't know whether somebody should be doing anything. I believe that music inherently as an art form is something that you communicate through.
True.
We all have our mediums of expression. For some, it could be banking. For somebody else, it could be a sport. For musicians, it's music or, you know, writing. So whatever happens around us affects us in many ways. And that's what I like to talk about in my music, because the more personal it is, I believe the more it resonates with other people, because they feel like they're not isolated. I feel like I'm not isolated. I'm a part of that community in which I'm singing or playing music. So that's what persuades me to, you know, keep the social element.
And which is great
alive.
because, see, you have a platform, you have a power, and people follow celebrities such as yourself. And when you give out that message, yes, they do. Trust me, they do. When you give out a message, it actually influences a lot of people.
Wow. I'm glad if it has a positive effect. I'm happy I can even touch one person's heart.
That's wonderful. So Farhad, tell me that, you know, do you like old melodies? Because this is something I've noticed in your music as well. You know, if you talk about Nere A and Nimi Nimi. So do you love listening to old Pakistani classics?
Some film music, some film songs, I would say, the lyrics and the vocal melodies are very clever. Music, I think, can be reinterpreted to fit, you know, the prevailing norm or system, whatever you want to call it. Yes, I have also heard a lot of Ustad Amanat Ali, Mehdi Hasan Saab, a lot of Indian classical music as well.
Legends.
So I guess I don't consciously make melodies that sound like those, but I guess I just grew up with those melodies and that music, and that
So the influence can be
conveys.
heard through your music.
Sure.
Which is wonderful. No, I love Nimi Nimi and I love Nedea, and I loved his version of Nedea as well. I remember that, you know, even if you talk about the song playing on the radio, or if you
Yes.
talk about the video, it was aired on different TV channels. It was just, it had that click factor. You know, the moment you take a listen to it, you just clicked and connected with that song. So Aziz, moving on with another question for you. So tell me that, you know, what you love living, what you love about living here in Lahore and at the same time about long sight?
Big, personally, because I know both places now, there's a very good connection. Both have a great sense of humour. There's a real sense of humour, which both cities have. Longsight is where I was born in Manchester, so I'm talking about a certain area. It's very much like Santanagar in a way.
Yes, of course.
It's got the old school streets and houses and manzil of, you know, families on top of each other. The other connection is, to me, Lahore is like, you've got the capital, which is Islamabad, and it's London. But there's a people's capital, and Manchester is the people's capital,
Right.
and Lahore to me is the people's capital of Pakistan.
As they say, the
Yeah.
heart of Pakistan.
Absolutely.
That's what it's
So
known for.
that's why the two cities are very close. It is vibrant, the education, music, sports, everything in general. You know, people want to study there, and they want to study here, or they want to play sports here. I think there's a very close relation, and I wrote this title for my album, Lahore to Longsight, because basically that's the journey that my father made. When he got employment in Manchester, he
Yes.
moved, and then I was born in Manchester. But he always used to tell me as a child, when he was in the army, when he was in the Indian army, that before partition, that he used to go on train journeys all over India and Pakistan, and he'd be sat on the roof and so forth, and he used to tell me about the travel. So I wrote a piece of music because it was always in my dreams about a train journey that went all the way from Lahore and ended in Manchester.
Right.
And that tour in 2003, when I came back, was called the Longsight to Lahore tour. When I met my family for the first time, I think Farhad was in the audience, were you?
Yes.
He was in the audience, but I'd met my family for the first time in Lahore. And to see my chacha, who was younger than my father by 10 years, he came in late into the auditorium. He said, Gaddafi Stadium, Alhambra, and he walked in. I thought it was my father. It was unbelievable. I'd never seen my chacha, my mum, and so forth. And everybody was there, invited by, in fact, I think it was your good selves. I think it was PTV that invited them.
Good old PTV, huh?
Invited
Yes,
them.
it was actually.
It was eye-opening.
I'm sure it was.
I can feel a tear come into my eye now.
Oh, that's sweet. That's very sweet. And I love the way that he described it. I love the way that you were telling me all of that in so much of detail.
It's a
There's so
journey.
much of, yes,
Yeah.
there's so
Musicians
much
are
of warmth.
sensitive people.
Yes, of course. There's so much of warmth and so much of
Artists.
sensitivity. That's right. There you go. So tell me that, you know, you interact with a lot of people across the globe, and you have your roots here in Pakistan, as you mentioned earlier. So what is the general perception that people have of Pakistan here that you get to hear about very, very often?
People know the answer, you know. The general perception is always fear. It's always dar, you know, it's always the case of that fear factor. But my response, because we're talking about a certain media angle on a country, the country, like any country, has its inherent problems, but at the same time it has a beautiful side and
Of
it has a
course.
happy side.
Like every
I mean,
country does.
what is the population? We're
Yeah.
180, 190 million probably, somewhere around that region. That's a big population. Everything goes on under the sun, and it's to me a nation that is growing and growing and finding its feet. And if it wasn't for the interference, I think, from the outside, then, you know, it would probably find its feet a lot faster. But in another sense, it's cooperation too that helps a country succeed. And the perception of people from the outside is what they get fed on the TV channels they watch. But I always say to them when they say, oh, you know, be careful, or you're going to Pakistan and you must be very careful because of this, that.
Of course.
And my response is always, look, I walk down the street where I live and I have to watch my back. I'm not always welcome in shops, in restaurants, in the country I live in. I've had visa problems when I go to the US and I've got a British passport. I've got people who perceive me as second class. And I'm going to Pakistan and I'm getting treated like a brother, like family, wherever I go.
So much of love and warmth.
And there is pyar, mohabbat, bas. Yeah, that's all I feel everywhere I go. When I shake the hands of somebody working in a restaurant who opens the door for me, and I always, you know, shake hands with people because it's rude not to do that and to say, you know, greet somebody, you know, wish them peace. And I feel it anywhere. No matter, I don't know the background, but I personally know, you know, that there's a lot of love in the country with everybody. I'm not talking about the struggles and, you know, what they do to get by, but I'm just saying in general. So my response to people is always, you know, I have to watch my back outside of Pakistan, so why tell me to watch my back in Pakistan, where I'm most welcome, where I don't have to watch what I eat, halal hai, you know.
You take ownership of this place.
Yeah, well, I kind of integrate. I become almost accepted and treated like, you know, I feel good in myself, where I've always felt almost second class sometimes in a lot of places. And I've internationally travelled. There isn't a country that I've never been to, or I don't think, I mean, there's few, but I've never felt so welcome as I've ever felt in Pakistan.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Aziz. That was very sweet as well at the same time.
It's free, you know. I don't charge.
Of course. So Farhad, you know, the same question for you, because you're a globetrotter yourself. You, mashallah, travel across the globe and you've always interacted with a lot of people. So what do you say about Pakistan when people ask you the same question or mention the fact that, oh, you know what, so much of negativity surrounding your country? So what is your response like about your country?
I like to lead by example, because that's the education that I grew up with. And like Aziz said, and as you know, people have certain interpretations and misconceptions about Pakistan. There are people who've asked me this question. For example, there was this kid that I met in Southampton in England, and he asked me whether we still write on leaves and whether we still ride camelback. And I was like, man, what planet are you living on?
You should have told him, yeah, we still live in caves, don't you know? I mean, we don't have anything.
And I was in Los Angeles last year. I performed there and met with some, you know, really influential Hollywood people. They were most impressed. I mean, they said, you know, you converse fluently in English, you look very international.
That's
Where
true.
are you from? We don't know this Pakistan that you represent. So I like to lead by example, and that's also something that our music basically takes with it to the rest of the world.
It's also the perception of foreign nationals.
Right.
Myself, you know, I could say that I had a misconception about Pakistan because, you know, when you live abroad and you're cut off from your homeland, your motherland, you have an idea of the old Pakistan, because that's what you're taught at home. That's what your mother and father teach you. And it's it's like the words I use, you know, I'm still saying Lailpur. And that's a tip.
You know,
I mean,
something that he says a lot is that I'm still looking for a man in a dhoti. But there is no man in a dhoti in Lahore anymore.
Not in Lahore,
well,
but
that's
of
what my
course,
dad used to wear at
in
home
the districts
when
of
he
Lahore
relaxed.
where we have all those pins, as you mentioned, of course you will find a man in dhoti. You know, taking up your point further, Farhad, I think that the point that we need to ponder about is the fact that how our media is portraying the image of Pakistan, because whatever we're feeding from here, people pick up from there. So that is also our responsibility, being in the media, and you guys are doing a fantastic job being the peace ambassadors for Pakistan, and you, I believe, are the true representation of our country. It's not what's happening, what people show in the media. It's people like you who actually are making a difference in the society, which is absolutely fantastic.
I don't think that any politician or any government represents a country. It's the people of the country that represent the country.
And the artists.
Yes, and all the people that I've met, all the people that my friends have met overseas have been pleasantly surprised at meeting Pakistanis.
True. And here's a message to the world as well. Now, the world needs to know that we can read, we can write, we can talk,
we don't need to say that. We don't need to say anything.
Yes, and of course we can talk about hope, about positivity, about love. That reminds me of music. If you, you know, put all of these words together, I think it's a combination of music. And music, of course, music is food for the soul. That's what they say. So let's hear something, Aziz. What are you playing for us tonight?
I had it custom made by this company Golden and in Canada, and they custom made this a guy in London, near London. He did this colour for me, but he also did this for me.
It's wonderful. Ooh, look at the flashy lights we see here.
He did that for me.
So the whole shebang.
I'm going to do the little Hindu thing for that.
There's a sniper in the building.
So you like your effects and all of that?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not just music.
It's the whole package,
It's also entertainment. So it could be a bass. Yeah, but sorry, I'm just going to pick this thing up. This is called a pick. Yeah, so it could be a sitar. So we could get, I mean, you know, this is the guitar string. But because I'm Pakistani, you see, I can make it sound like this now.
Of course, there you go.
But then, obviously, I've got to play it in a certain manner, haven't I? Which is a bit sad. Let's have it a little bit happier, shall we? Hey! But you know, I tried to make the guitar be whatever I want it to be. I mean, sometimes I listen to Japanese instruments, Chinese instruments, trying to get this kind. I don't know why my head keeps going up and down. But I also like things like santur and things like that, so I get ideas from... And then obviously mainstream music has influenced me a lot, so I could play you something, I don't know.
That was beautiful. Wow. You know, I felt as if I was on this audio journey somewhere.
Yeah, out of body experience.
I know, it was fantastic. Exactly. It was a beautiful experience. And you were basically talking about the colors of the world.
Yeah. Why not?
The taste, the colors of the world. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Weekend World. Do not go anywhere, because up next we have another fantastic performance. We are in conversation with two fantastic creative musicians / singers, and we shall be right back. Stay with us. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. You're watching Weekend World at PTV World. My name is Sophie. Of course, we're talking about music, we're talking about peace. And Jimi Hendrix used to say something, that when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And what better way to talk about peace than of music? Was that right, gentlemen?
I thought that was Jimmy Patel.
It was Jimi Hendrix. All right, wonderful. So, of course, we love that performance of yours. And, you know, we saw that it was like an audio treat for us. And we were thinking about the different colors and the different taste of people across the globe. Now, the next question, gentlemen, that I have for both of you is that let's talk about upcoming artists and new artists, not just here in Pakistan, but across the border, across the globe. So, tell us about the music that you've heard recently that you saw that this person or this individual is going to be the next big thing in the world or here in Pakistan.
I think Pashto music is the next big thing.
You think so?
Honestly, the rhythm patterns, the energy, the language, it's so musical, all of that. I'm a big fan.
Wonderful. What about you, Aziz?
I've heard quite a lot of music recently, but the one thing that I get is this feeling of it's almost a wealth of Balochi music, of Sindh, Pashtun, and Punjab. You know, they each have a very distinct kind of sound and identity. It's amazing. I never knew really until I started exploring it, you know, the different sounds of it and how much, you know, the traditional Pakistani instruments that I've never heard before, and then hearing things like the banjo and things like that. I wouldn't say, oh, it's the next big thing, but I would say that the world needs to hear all those different sounds of Pakistan, for instance.
Very beautiful thought.
You know, why we always got to send out the same music and the same ideas. You know,
True.
people have heard it. And you've got young, I mean, this country's built on a population of, you know, I don't know, is it 27, under the age of 27, 80% or something? I don't know what population.
Under the age of 30, I think it's about 75%
Right.
More or
of
less.
people
So
are under the
therefore-
age of 30.
Yeah, therefore, what would, you know, what do they portray? The music that they played, what they like. You know, I think the world should hear more of Pakistan's diversity, more of its culture. And I think, again, back to what we were talking before, why not hear, you know, why not send that out? Why not send that message out? There is so much depth and so much wealth of music and arts and, you know, cultural things
Of
that
course,
people have never
all sorts
seen.
of art, not just music. You've got dance, you've got our
Yeah.
own cultural identity.
I don't think people have seen a lot of that. And in a sense that it's okay to say that people outside are saying this about Pakistan, but also Pakistan needs to give out more of that and not just send out their biggest artists and send out you know, the tried and tested, oh, we need this, and send so-and-so.
True.
Because it always works. Take a chance with some of the undiscovered artists, some of those who have not got the fame and fortune. I think you should give them opportunities.
Agreed, completely agreed. So, gentlemen, tell me that was there ever a song that you heard that changed your life completely? Or if not, maybe altered a decision or your perception in life? A song so strong.
There's a song called In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins.
Of course.
There's another
Sir Phil
Punjabi
Collins.
Saraiki song called Jindadi Luti. It's really beautiful. I hear it all the time. So many people have done various versions. And yeah, so those two, absolutely.
Wonderful. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Aziz, do you have a favorite as well?
I'm a caveman. I mean, yeah, I'm a kind of side of Pakistan that says sometimes what influenced me basically was music that I'd never ever experienced before. And I heard, when I was young, when I was really young, what I heard was Elvis. And I heard Buddy Holly.
King of rock and roll.
So I was like the first Pakistani rockabilly with the big quiff. But the guitar and the twang, that was like, wow, what is this? And then later on it was punk. And
So
I got
quite the devil in disguise, weren't you?
No, it's just new. You know, I heard the
Not so
bands-
much in disguise.
I always listened to bands like the Sex Pistols, the Buzzcocks. There were so many different bands, and they were just against the grain. But the influence on me as a Pakistani, you know, it kind of shocked my system. Well, then it was the power of it. That's what shocked me. It was the statement. It was the rebellious nature of it. And this whole thing is my form of rebellion outside of the confines of, as a Pakistani and as a Muslim and so forth. Just the freeing of the soul and allowing myself to express. And that's what music is. You know,
Of course, it's a form of expression
it's a
and you
freedom.
need to be articulate. Wonderful. We'll hear more about this story as well. But Farhad, I want to ask you something really interesting because I've been thinking about this recently. You know, we've heard a lot of different cover versions by different bands. Now, there was one that I came across. It was by Hussain Ali Shah, who's a talented young musician here, singer here in Pakistan. And he basically came out with a cover version of the track called Nimi Nimi. So have you heard that cover version? It was a tribute to you as well.
I have. He sent it to me and it's really flattering because a lot of people, well, we haven't released many songs. We used to be an instrumental band, but it's very flattering when somebody likes your music so much that, you know, he wants to own it. So that's what made him do that version. That's what he told me. And I really like it. It's a younger version because
it's an interesting cover version of
it
your
is,
song.
absolutely. I think everybody should hear it.
Wonderful. No, we love Nimi Nimi, of course. And since, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Nimi Nimi, we are talking about Overload and the one and only Farhad Humayun. Take a look at the special package about the journey of the brilliant Farhad Humayun as we speak. Take a look. That was absolutely amazing. You know, Farhad, I've always been a huge fan of yours, and not just because you're a fantastic musician and now a fantastic singer as well, but he's always been a supporter of music. And this is one thing I've always found fascinating about him, because you've always supported talent. You know, if you talk to all these aspiring young musicians and singers, they talk so highly of Fadi Bhai, as they call him, or Farhad Humayun, because of his support for music. That's fantastic. So tell me, that what should all the Farhad Humayun fans be looking forward to in 2015? It's in the pipeline for us.
Well, there's a lot happening. I usually like to talk about things once I've already done them. But there are shows happening. Overload is performing locally, internationally. We're coming out with some live material. Aziz Ibrahim is playing with Overload. We're doing some stuff together overseas. Yeah, lots of videos, lots of new releases, and more music than talk.
More music than talk. So
Yes.
usually, as they say, that you know, you let your music speak. So that is exactly what your plan is for 2015. So gentlemen, we have an activity now. Now we know of original songs. And we know of cover versions. So I have a list of some of my personal favorite cover version songs. So you need to tell me that who played it better and which song was a better choice. All right? Jimi Hendrix or Dave Matthews Band for All Along the Watchtower?
That's obvious, Jimi Hendrix.
Jimmy Patel, yeah.
Okay. Jeff Buckley or Leonard Cohen for Hallelujah?
Jeff
Buckley.
for me.
Really?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
this time around, it's definitely the other way. Amir Zaki or Arooj Aftab for Mera Pyar?
Arooj Aftab.
Have you heard this song?
No.
Okay, all right. I'll take that as a no. Johnny Cash or 9 Inch Nails for Hurt?
9 Inch Nails.
I've always been a big Johnny Kashmiri fan.
Johnny Cash for me too. I would go for Johnny Cash right there. Michael Jackson or Chris Cornell for Billie Jean?
Yeah,
Hey.
Michael Jackson.
Of course.
Michael Jackson.
Of course. Muhammad Ali Sheikhi and Alan Fakir or Nescafe Basement Tea for Tere Ishq Mein Jo Bhi.
Muhammad Ali Sheikhi. And
Have you heard this song before?
Yes.
There you go.
I'll go
But
with
you know,
Muhammad.
all these cover versions, you know, I personally feel that whenever you cover a song, you're not supposed to completely rip off the entire original track.
No,
You
yeah,
have
it's
to
supposed
give it
be
your
an
own flavor.
interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is very, very important.
What is the point? You know?
Exactly, then what's the point? You might as well just take a listen to the original track.
Yeah.
Then what's the point of a cover version? Wonderful. So my next question, gentlemen, is that in fact this is directed towards Aziz now. So you know, you were also a guitar teacher way back in 1995, if I'm not mistaken.
When I was down and out, had no money. Oh no, is that now? I'm not sure. But when I had no money, yeah, I turned to teaching in the early days. A lot of schools, a lot of.
So while we were researching on your profile, we found out that you were a teacher, and that was, you know, in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
So tell me that what is that one thing that you always taught your students? What was your motto, your mantra way back in the day when you were teaching?
Well, I tried to teach them guitar, but it was. I think it was more about the approach, in the sense that, you know, the East teaches to study under ustads and pandits and gurus and so forth, which is a great philosophy, as they do martial arts. You know, you study under your sensei and so forth. And in the same way, if I taught them, I didn't really want to teach them unless they actually had some form of love for it, and it wasn't their parents paying for a lesson, and this was very mercenary, and they were just paying and they were going to go and forget. So in general, I tended to get rid of the ones who were there for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
And for me, the right reasons are that it actually does something for you and for other people, that you're getting something out of it, that it's making you feel good, or it helps you. So that's what it probably gave me. It gave me that feeling that I was helping young people kind of find an instrument or a voice.
Of course, and why not?
To express themselves.
Of course,
when
and
they
who
were
better
down,
teacher than you, of course, Aziz. So wonderful, gentlemen, it's time for us to basically conclude the show. But before we do that, we have a segment. It's more like a tradition for all the goodie bags, courtesy of Weekend World. As you can see, we have something for you, but obviously you have to earn that goodie bag. So the deal is that we have a rule in the segment. Now, the rule is that you only have 2 seconds to answer the question. This time around, I'm going to start from Farhad now. So Farhad, you have to tell me.
Fire business.
You have to tell me the first word that comes to your mind when I mention the following words, but you only have 2 seconds. Otherwise, the buzzer will sound. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hope,
Pray,
love,
hate,
life,
good,
music,
always.
best singer ever. Beep, Pakistan,
No, huh?
Pakistan,
My life,
peace,
harmony.
beauty. Beep, best guitarist today.
Aziz Ibrahim,
There you go. Loyalty,
always.
food,
Yes.
instrument,
Drums.
stage,
I don't know.
Weekend World.
Nice.
Nice, not bad. Thank you very much. All right, Aziz, are you ready? You only have 2 seconds to answer the question. All right? Okay, first word that comes to your mind when I mention the following. Hope,
Glory,
stage,
show,
love,
Muhammad,
life,
living,
instrument,
guitar,
food,
dal,
Farhad Humayun,
good bloke.
loyalty,
Yes.
best singer ever.
Me.
There you go. Modesty be damned, you got Aziz Ibrahim. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, it was a pleasure having both of you over on the show. Thank you so much. We wish you all the very best. But before we sign out of this conversation, we would love for you guys to perform something.
Are we performing something?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
why not?
Why not? Of course. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Weekend World. We have, you know, a saying and a quotation as always, because that is something that we do here on our shows. Now, the saying goes something like this. When music and courtesy are better understood and appreciated, there will be no war. So with that said and done, God bless us, God bless Pakistan. Enjoy yourselves, have a great weekend, and do not forget to enjoy the performance that's coming right now. Enjoy it. Have a great night.
वो जदों निमी निमी चलती हवा ढोला मेरा दिल ਡੋਲਦਾ ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਨਿਮੀ ਨਿਮੀ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਹਵਾ ਡੋਲਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਦਿਲ ਡੋਲਦਾ ਉਹ ਜਿੰਦ ਮੁੱਕ ਚਲੀ ਤੱਕਦੀਆਂ ਰਾਹ ਡੋਲਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਦਿਲ ਡੋਲਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਨਿਮੀ ਨਿਮੀ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਡੋਲਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਦਿਲ ਡੋਲਦਾ ਢੋਲਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਦਿਲ ਡੋਲਦਾ ਲੰਮੀਆਂ ਜੁਦਾਈਆਂ ਦਿਲ ਸਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਪਲ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਨਾ ਰਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਲੰਮੀਆਂ ਜੁਦਾਈਆਂ ਸਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਪਲ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਨਾ ਰਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਤਤੜੀ ਨੂੰ ਸੀਨੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਾਏ ਢੋਲਾ